Hi, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Immigrant Success Canada podcast. My name, your co-host and co-founder of the program, Emanuel Petrescu, and my dear friend, co-founder and co-host.
Hi everyone, I am Charlie Baek.
We're already on our seventh episode, I'm happy to report, and it's been an amazing journey so far. We have many new ideas to share. We have many episodes that we plan to record this year and beyond. So thank you for being here with us, for watching us, for being subscribed to us, and so on. Charlie, do you want to remind our listeners, or maybe the people who are watching or listening to us for the first time, what is this podcast and what is the Immigrant Success Canada program?
Absolutely, Emanuel. Our company is about helping new and existing immigrants to improve their life in Canada. And Emanuel and I developed a coaching program for immigrants for their success and happiness in Canada for the next 20 years. That's all about it.
Where can I sign up? Where can I find more about this program?
You can visit our website, which is isc-go.com, and you can find all the information from there.
And I just put the information on a banner for those of you who are watching us. Now, Charlie, this program is mainly created by me and you, but we see that we have a guest today. So why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, I'm really happy to introduce our guest today. Our guest is Laura Beck, and she recently joined our company for temporarily about 3 months to work with us about our program improvement. So actually, her role is as a manager for program improvement and also funding application. And yeah, that's about it.
Happy to meet you, Laura, and happy to have you as a guest.
Thank you for having me today. It's been great being on this team.
Amazing. So in today's episode, we actually planned it and we have a theme. And the theme is education in Canada from a Canadian's perspective. Because Laura, if I'm not mistaken, you were born here, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But you are the daughter of two immigrants. So we're gonna develop on that narrative later on. But for this episode, we're simply going to stick to the education. And one first question I had for you written it here is, from your experience as a Canadian, how do you like the education system in Canada?
So I'm currently in university, and throughout all of my schooling in Canada, I've had a very enjoyable experience, starting from elementary school, throughout high school as well, and now in my university experience.
And what are you studying?
I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Commerce at McGill University.
That's in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. If my
Yes.
geography, I remember geography correctly. Okay. And you said you had all the education starting from grade school up until today just in Canada. So tell us a little bit more about that experience. And that might sound like an awkward question, but many of our listeners and also myself and also Charlie haven't gone through this process of education in Canada. And our listeners think about, okay, what should they expect when they arrive here, what their life, what their education would be. But many also think about their children, right? They need to go to starting from kindergarten to grade school. Some people who arrive here have already kind of like not adult children, but they go straight to high school. Some need to go straight to university. Many other newcomers come straight to the university or college, and people are looking to get more information on that. What can you tell us?
Yes, so I'll start with the beginning of my schooling. So before I started university, I received all of my schooling in Ontario. So I started in junior and senior kindergarten in London, Ontario. And then my family moved to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, starting when I was in grade one. So the schooling system for elementary school, after you do your kindergarten, you attend 8 years of elementary school. And throughout my elementary school, I attended a French immersion school, which in Canada, in every city, it is required for them to have the option of a French immersion schooling program. So my parents enrolled me in the French immersion program. I knew of some friends who went to an Anglophone school, as well as some who went to a Francophone school. So there are many different options. There were several schools in both of the cities that I grew up in. And then I also continued the French immersion program throughout my high school experience, which was 4 years.
Do you speak French?
I do speak a little bit of French.
Okay, then if we ever need to do an episode fully in French, then we know who to turn to help us with our guests. So that's a good question. Actually, that's a nice segue to my next question because many people know that Canadian has two official languages, French being one federal language. Um, how much French one studies? Is it optional, or and how much does it influence his education, and how can his career potentially benefit by being bilingual?
Yes, so it's definitely optional if you want to pursue schooling in French. For me, the French immersion program that I was in high school, you were required to take at least 10 of your courses throughout your 4 years in French. So some of my classes were fully in French, whereas the others were fully in English. I'm not sure if this is universal. I don't think so across Canada. But there are definitely a lot of different options for how much French you want to integrate in your schooling. And as for how it may benefit you, for me, it directly benefited my university experience past high school since I moved to Montreal, which is a bilingual city, as well as Quebec is a French province. So living in Montreal, I can definitely tell that if you are bilingual, it gives you an advantage, not only in schooling, but also in finding jobs. Currently, I'm not looking for a full time job, but even with internships or part time jobs throughout the year, being bilingual is definitely an asset.
I have seen many job postings specifically requiring bilingual and having a preference for it because there are a couple of good millions people in Canada that speak only French. So obviously we're not to exclude those people.
And
Uh,
actually, on that note, actually, it reminds me that one of my friends' son works for federal government in Ottawa, and he told me that his son got special bonus because he speaks French very well and for his work. So I think so for federal government, I think yeah, if you are bilingual, I think it definitely helps a lot.
and okay, that's quite interesting. And most newcomers are kind of like bilingual in a sense because they come from it, unless you come from a country that speaks only English.
Oh, but by the way, I like to mention just one more thing because it is connected with bilingualism and for your job opportunities. So for me, I work for government of Ontario, and which is a provincial government. So you don't have to be bilingual to get a job here. We also have some jobs which require you have to be bilingual, but those are specifically designated. And then when you advertise, we notice that. But usually, most of jobs, even if you can speak English, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good. Now, my next question, I had written it here for you, Laura, is what are some of the important things for you in terms of education? So, from your perspective.
For me, I think the freedom of choice was really important to me. Having the option to pursue schooling in French or in English if I wanted to, as well as being able in my high school experience, being able to choose the classes that I wanted to take, whether that was catered towards what I wanted to pursue afterwards. For example, some of my friends, they took a lot of science courses throughout high school because that's what they wanted to pursue. But for me, I wanted to pursue business. So in high school, I took business related classes such as marketing, which I really appreciated that since I know some other friends in their schooling experience, they didn't really have the choice on what types of classes that they were able to take. And that goes the same for in university. There's a lot of different options of different classes, courses, or programs to take, which was really nice when I was choosing my university. I had a lot of variety in the types of programs I could pursue.
Wow, that's I think that's new. When I was in South Korea, which I had my all my education, and in high school, I didn't have any choice to choose any courses. So I don't know now it might have been changed, yeah, but that's great to hear that.
What other examples can you give us for some courses for somebody who's interested, for example, in pursuing business education further on? So you said marketing. What type of other classes were available?
So in my first year of high school in grade nine, you had the option to either take the business management class or the tech class, which was like woodwork, because I went to a vocational school. So I had a lot of different options, not only in like such as business, but also in the trades work as well. My school offered a lot of those programs as well.
What is vocational school?
So I went to a collegiate and vocational school. So this means that they not only focus on academic programs, such as science or business, but they also focus on the trades. So we had construction, we had a hospitality and tourism program, we had a bistro at my school. So this really opened up a lot of doors for the students, to show them that not only can they go to university after high school, but they can also pursue these trades jobs as well.
Yeah, I think in Canada that's very important because we are experiencing a shortage of labor force, especially trades parts. So plumbers, electricians, and forestry related workers. So in Canada, we are introducing, especially in Ontario, we are introducing a lot of trades programs in high school to expose our students to those opportunities because a lot of students do not know about it and also teachers. So that's why we are trying to introduce those trades programs in high school.
Definitely, there's a shortage of trade skilled workers, arguably anywhere in the world, not just Canada, right? So maybe that's a topic for a podcast in itself at one point. Continuing to education, one question I had, because I come from Europe and the educational system, it's a little bit different, right? You finish high school, then you go to university, you do 3 years, you get your license, somehow the equivalent of a bachelor degree, then you pursue a master. It can be 2 to 3 to 4 years depending on what subject you choose. Obviously law implies 1 to up to 3 more years everywhere if you study it. But what's the difference in North America? You hear a lot about colleges, and you go to college and then go to university. And it's not high school and it's not university as well, right? It's a college by itself. And you hear about a certificate program, you hear about a diploma program, and so on. So I was wondering, maybe you are the best person to paint a roadmap a little bit about the educational system in Canada, starting, let's say, high school, college, and you pursued the degree and the program and the diploma program and so on. What
I
can you tell
see.
us about that?
So high school is typically 4 years. And then for university, which I know the most about, is also typically a 4 year program. But you do have the option to go to college, which has a lot of certificate or diploma programs, as you mentioned. And these programs are typically less. So they're usually 1 to 2 years. As well as in Quebec specifically, they have a different program called CEGEP, which is their college program, and it is very common for the students to do their high schooling, go to CEGEP, which is typically 2 years, and then also go to university. Whereas in Ontario, you typically do college or university. It's one or the other.
I see. So basically, the education after high school, which is typically 3 to 4 years, arguably anywhere in the world, can extend even up to 5 in Quebec, from what I'm hearing.
Yes. So I believe there's CEGEP. Depending on what program you pursue, it can be from 1 to 3 years. And then afterwards, it's very common for them to pursue a university bachelor's degree as well.
I see. Oh, thank you. That's quite interesting, and I'm pretty sure that in many places in the world the system is not exactly the same. So hopefully we clarify that. It took me a while to understand what exactly is the difference and what uh, does it actually mean. Now, many people say that the Canadian public education is one of the best in the world. You have experienced the Canadian public educational system. What can you tell us about it?
So I'm not very familiar with the other education systems in the world, but from the ones that I had considered studying in, such as the US or in Korea, compared to the US, the schooling in Canada for universities is much cheaper. I pretty much had written off studying in the US because their tuition rates are enormous. Whereas in Canada, they're definitely a bit lower, as well as in Quebec specifically. If you're a Quebec resident, they also lower your rate of tuition. So I pay an out of province tuition rate, but that is still less, much less than what it would be in the US. In other regards, I believe my schooling experience was quite enjoyable because I didn't experience any standardized testing, which I know is a common theme in other countries, such as the US. They have the SAT. And in Korea, I believe they have a very rigorous entrance exam for colleges or universities, I mean. And I didn't need to do that to enter to apply to universities, so that was really relieving to me, and I feel like my high school experience was a lot less stressful due to that.
Oh, sounds amazing. I wish I can turn back the time and, sign up for high school and all those things. Now, I'm going to move the attention now to Charlie. Charlie, you being a parent and having children going through the public educational system in Canada. If we remember correctly from the first episodes of our podcast, you mentioned that you considered coming to Canada, especially for the public education system. But right now, from the perspective of a parent, what would you tell, let's say, yourself or somebody like you, like 30 years old right now with a barely newly born child, considering coming to Canada and thinking about the child's future, what he would expect from an educational perspective?
Absolutely. Uh, One of the key reasons a lot of immigrants come to Canada is because Canada has one of the best education systems. So they want to provide the best public education to their children. So that's why education is very important. And I think that although Canadian education system is not 100% perfect, but I think it has a lot of good things, as uh, our guest Laura told us. So those things are very important. So I think overall, at the end of the day, the main goal of education is to build and grow good citizens for the society and with the required knowledges and skills for the society. So on that point, I would say I'm very happy about Canadian education system, and as a parent, yeah, I'm very happy about it. And then my two children had a great education, and both of them have been very happy. So I'm really happy about that.
Congratulations, Charlie. To the note, how can our program help with somebody who's preparing to come to Canada and has all these questions? How can we assist them? How can we help them? What does our program do for somebody in that situation?
Yes, because of the importance of education, in our coaching program, we made one specific section. But in module two, we have education. So it has three key parts. First one is education for yourself as an immigrant. What kind of education is good for you and to be successful and happy. And then second one is the education for your children. So what kind of education opportunities you can provide to make them happy and successful. And then lastly, we provide coaching about lifelong learning and education because to be happy in Canada, you have to pursue your lifelong learning opportunities. So we'll provide what kind of opportunities and what kind of options that you can have. One of them would be joining Toastmasters to improve your public speaking. So we'll provide what kind of options and then how you keep improving your communication skills and learning opportunities. So those are top three things on the education module.
The next question, and you can see I've put it on the screen right now for those of us who are watching. But if somebody wants to learn more or contact us to learn more and sign up with to our program, where can they find more information?
Yes, please visit our website and then you can have all the information about the education and other modules and then what kind of things you can expect.
The website is isc-go.com. So ISC, Immigrant Success Canada, the initials -go.com. That being said, we're close to the end of our very interesting episode on education, and especially having Laura as a guest, a Canadian that went through the public education system and right now into university to clarify and testify about the importance of education in the first place, but how the education system works in Canada. And as a reminder, and everybody can confirm that Canada has one of the best schools in the world and one of the best public education system. Now, before ending this episode, any final thoughts, Laura? Something that you would, I don't know, tell to one of our listeners, because you're familiar with our program and you know how something like this, how coaching can basically help. What would you tell from your perspective to a newcomer, to somebody who wants to come in and live in Canada with their family and have this normal, natural questions about the education, thinking, especially for their children, what are they going to study? What are they going to do?
Yeah, so in Canada, there is a very vast education system and there are so many different options. And I think that it can be a bit overwhelming coming to Canada as somebody who is new. And I think that this coaching program would be able to help guide you, to lead you, to show you all of the different options that you might not have known of without this coaching program. So I would recommend this if you're a bit intimidated at all of the different resources or programs that are available here. But I really do think that having a mentor will help ease this process for you.
I tend to mention this all the time that Charlie and I built this program thinking of us making a program that we wish we had when we came to Canada, so that it covers everything. So you have not just a mentor, not just a coach, but also a friend that can guide you through taking the best decisions for yourself. That being said, it was lovely to have you today, Laura. Hope you'll be a guest, not just for another episode, but for many to come. Until then, www.isc-go.com is the website. My name is Emanuel Petrescu,
My name is Charlie Baek.
and we're the co-founders and co-hosts of this podcast and the Immigrant Success Canada coaching program. Your coaching program for a successful and happy life in Canada. Until the next episode,
See you later.